I still remember the sound day that sharp, metallic snap echoing through the pines. It was the sound of my cabin lock being cut. The lock I'd placed myself on the door to the little wooden home I'd built with my own two hands. I wasn't there to hear it, but when the security footage replayed later that evening, I could almost feel it. That sound marked the exact moment when Karen, as the self-appointed enforcer of our HOA, crossed a line she'd never be able to step back from. What she didn't know, though, was that on that very day, a SWAT team had been waiting inside. Let me rewind a bit. My name's David Reynolds. I moved out to Timber Falls a few years ago, tired of city noise and concrete skies. The HOA was small but notoriously nosy, mostly retirees who treated every stray leaf or unapproved shade of mailbox like a federal crime. Karen Mitchell was their queen bee. Her voice was the law, her clipboard was her crown, and she ruled with the authority of someone who'd never once been told number. At first, she seemed harmless enough, just another overzealous neighbor obsessed with rules. But when she started walking onto my property, taking pictures, and leaving warning notes about improperly stacked firewood or unapproved garden decor, I realized I'd moved next to a nightmare. The final straw came when I decided to rent my cabin out occasionally to veterans through a non-profit program. Many of these men and women were struggling to readjust to civilian life, as some dealing with PTSD, others simply needing a quiet place to clear their heads. Karen didn't like that one bit. One evening, she cornered me in the driveway, eyes narrow and voice dripping with accusation. "David, we have rules here. You can't just let anyone stay on HOA property. We need to inspect your cabin for safety reasons." "Karen," I said calmly, "you don't have the right to enter private property. My guests are veterans, and they deserve their peace. Please respect that." But Karen wasn't the kind of person who took no as an answer. She believed rules bent around her like wind through grass. So she went digging, calling the HOA board, pestering the sheriff's office, even trying to get zoning officers involved. Nobody backed her up, and that made her furious. 2 weeks later, I was working in town when I got a strange text from a friend, a deputy who lived nearby. "Hey, David, heads up. Saw Karen snooping near your cabin again." I sighed, thinking it was the usual nonsense. But that day wasn't usual at all, because inside my cabin, a tactical SWAT team was stationed undercover and preparing for a high-risk training simulation with local law enforcement. The program I'd partnered with often hosted training retreats at the cabin. They combined therapy and tactical readiness for officers and veterans re-entering high-stress fields. Everything was authorized, coordinated, and fully legal. But Karen didn't know that. She only saw what her imagination told her: strangers, secrecy, something suspicious. So she decided to take action. That afternoon, armed with bolt cutters and self-righteous fury, Karen marched up my gravel path, muttering about community safety and code violations. She slipped through the gate, cut the lock clean in half, and pushed the cabin door open without knocking, without thinking. The moment she stepped inside, she froze. In the dim light, she saw 6 figures dressed in tactical gear, helmets, vests, rifles slung tight. Her breath caught in her throat as one of them turned toward her and shouted, "Hands up. Identify yourself." Karen screamed so loud this forest echoed. She dropped the bolt cutters, her knees nearly giving out as a voice boomed, "Who are you and why did you enter this building?" "Yeah, I'm Karen Mitchell." "Oh, President, I was a broken bar inspecting," she stammered, her face turning ghost white. The team quickly realized she wasn't a threat, just a very confused, very terrified woman who had broken into a secure site. The commander called the sheriff, and within minutes, law enforcement was on scene. When I arrived, Karen was sitting on the porch steps, shaking, clutching a bottle of water, eyes glazed over like someone who'd seen a ghost. The sheriff looked exhausted as he explained the situation. "David, we're filing this as a break-in and interference with a law enforcement exercise." "She's lucky no one got hurt." Karen tried to protest. "I didn't know. I thought something illegal was happening. I was just protecting the community." I could have pressed charges. I could have humiliated her the way she'd tried to humiliate me so many times before. But as I looked at her trembling hands and the tears in her eyes, I realized that this was punishment enough. I took a slow breath. "Karen, You crossed into my home. You violated my trust, but I'm not going to ruin your life over this. Just promise me something. Learn from it. Learn to let people live their lives without trying to control them. For the first time since I'd met her, Karen didn't argue. She just nodded silently, still shaking. Word spread fast through Timber Falls. The whole board stripped her of her inspection privileges and forced her to publicly apologize at the next meeting. It was uncomfortable, but maybe necessary. When she stood before the community, voice trembling, she admitted, "I let my pride and assumptions cloud my judgment. I was wrong." That day, something shifted in her. Over time, Karen actually softened. She started helping at veteran fundraisers, bringing food to the same guests she once feared. The wall she'd built out of control and judgment began to crumble, brick by brick. And me, I rebuilt the lock on my cabin door, stronger than ever. Not just the metal, but the trust in the people around me. Every time I turn that key, I think about how quickly arrogance can turn to humility, and how easily assumptions can lead us into disaster. But I also think about second chances, how even the most stubborn hearts can change when faced with truth. Life in Timber Falls eventually went quiet again. The woods felt peaceful, and so did I. But sometimes, when the wind rustles through the trees just right, I swear I can hear a faint metallic snap echoing in the distance, a reminder that boundaries, once broken, leave echoes that never really fade. And that's when I smile. Because in the end, even Karen learned, peace isn't found in control, it's found in letting go.